good, y'all, man? We back with another video, man. How y'all doing? Hope y'all doing great today. Today we got terrifying moments caught on construction sites. We can get into the video, man, see what happened in this video, man. Hopefully y'all doing great today. Yeah, man, let's get into the video.
Of a construction worker, you probably think of a person who, well, constructs things. It's a dangerous job, and an exhausting one at that, which is why it certainly isn't for everyone. However, in this particular case, these construction workers had an additional job. For 2 weeks, Jody Borum and his brother David Siebert have been working as part of the construction crew building the Hotel Covington on Madison Avenue. But one day, the two heard an ominous scream for help, which is when they saw a man running away down a staircase holding a woman's purse.
For a minute, I was like, there's
what
no,
do I do?
Yeah,
That's
just for a second, I was like, and then I just took off running, it wasn't, I wasn't gonna let me try to go.
The two brothers quickly gave each other a glance before they eventually bolted off.
She came down behind him saying he stole my purse, and he started running, and that's when I was like, let's get him.
Running toward the robber, whose name is Corey Miller.
Like, I kind of snatched the purse from his hand.
I stepped on the wallet when it fell out, grabbed him in a headlock, and dropped him.
The brothers surprisingly managed to put Miller in a headlock before dropping him to the ground, saving the day and being heroes for the women whose purse was stolen by the robber. Miller was then arrested.
I've got a problem that I'm pretty sure you can help me with.
I can't help you with shit, my nigga. I ain't gonna lie, bro. I can't help you with nothing.
Damsel in distress.
Cannot lie, bro. Cannot lie, man.
Sometimes as a construction worker, all you need is to take a quick couple of minutes break in order to re-energize yourself before going back to work, which is exactly what these construction workers can be seen doing in this video published to YouTube Shorts. The three men are sitting on the side of the road, simply trying to make the most out of their break when they notice a young woman walking directly down in the street in front of them, which doesn't seem too concerning at first. However, they start to grow concerned when they notice that there are two men quickly approaching the woman and start acting suspicious. As the woman tries her best to get around the two strange men, they proceed to block her every move, so she's ultimately feeling totally cornered by them. The workers don't waste any time, jumping up from their seats and confronting the strange men
what they were trying to do?
Without any sort of fear or hesitation. Thankfully, their strategy seemed to work, as you can see the two men running away from the scene of the incident, finally leaving the poor woman alone. Flying from construction bucket. As a professional photographer, Andrew Wohl had a collection of video and photographs that say a lot of interesting things. But it was the following piece of dashcam footage that Andrew managed to film that shocked the world.
This is probably the most epic and horrific thing that I've seen.
On February 25th of 2019, while driving along Highway 90, Andrew was simply enjoying his day and didn't have any sort of clue that in just a matter of seconds he would be capturing a genuinely terrifying moment on his dashcam.
And he hung upside down and sideways for a bit, and then his co-workers lowered the crane down.
At one point in the video, a large truck can be seen going past a streetlight, which ends up crashing directly into a construction bucket that was attached to the streetlight for maintenance, causing the man in the bucket
Why did they have it? Why did they have it a little bit
taller? The man was
taller?
hanging for around 30 seconds and said that it was clear that they ignored some very crucial safety rules that day, such as the fact that they didn't have the road blocked off to allow for the man to safely
why did they
fix
have
the
it, bro?
streetlight.
Why did they have
You
it?
can see that they ignored some safety rules. They didn't have the road blocked off. The truck wasn't protecting anybody, but they were smart enough to put on a belt and a helmet, and that's probably.
And then I bet it was a car behind that car.
After
He
calling
probably
the
got
cops,
ran
Andrew said
over.
that the worker appeared to be in complete and utter shock, but was otherwise doing all right. It's just a good thing that the truck that collided with the worker wasn't driving even just a little bit faster. Dangling worker.
If you were driving like a
This next video
Mercedes.
shows just how dangerous and life-threatening the life of a construction worker can sometimes be.
Oh nah,
The
bro.
incident in question
People
was so
be
scary, and the video went so
way.
viral that it caused Toronto's Ministry of Labour to do an investigation. The video in question was filmed by a group of people who were on a balcony when they saw something so terrifying they would never forget it for the rest of their lives. A construction worker hanging on for dear life, just mere inches
he
from
better not let
plummeting
go
all
of
the way
that
to the
jump, boy, I
concrete
ain't lying.
below. Because of how tightly he was hanging on to the rope, the worker also ended up dropping his radio, meaning he couldn't communicate with his other crew members as efficiently, making things even scarier.
Then imagine
The worker
if they
made it out of this
they didn't even know he
horrifying
was
situation
up there,
alive
bro.
and walked away from some injuries to his hand, but was otherwise okay. It's just a miracle to see such a
Like,
positive
if he
outcome
would've
from a
let it go,
situation
boy.
that could have been so deadly.
How quick can things go wrong on a job site?
Oh, it's a matter of seconds. You go to the job, you might not come back home.
High-rise
He
rescue.
ain't lying either, boy. He's not lying.
This next video shows the terrifying outcome of a construction worker who had to be
Come on,
rescued from a
stretcher.
high-rise 49 feet above, who ended up in the hospital with several injuries, but was otherwise okay and was considered in stable condition by authorities.
As it came all the way down, you could see that he had a laceration to his head, and they had his head wrapped up, and they had the collar on it.
The City of Miami Fire Rescue showed the operation that was carried out with the help of a crane. The man apparently suffered a laceration to the head, which was all bandaged up eventually. It took officials approximately 30 minutes or so to rescue the man, but rescue is exactly what they ended up doing for him, which could have never predicted just how scary of a turn his day would take when he went into work that day. Crane collapse.
Hey, man.
Because of how big a
Crane
job being a
collapse.
construction worker can be, it means you sometimes have to handle incredibly heavy and dangerous equipment in order to get the job done. However, most workers don't have an issue with this, and things typically go relatively smoothly for them. But that does not mean that that's been the case for all construction workers universally, as proven by this
jump,
video.
boy.
The video
Now that's crazy. The whole crane fell off, bruh.
in order to get the job
You
done.
usually don't see that though, because the
However-
crane be the most strongest thing. That's crazy. I mean, that had to be a little bit more heavier than a crane.
For most workers don't have an issue
I'm
with
glad-
this,
I'm
and
glad
things
they got out of the
typically
way,
go
though,
relatively smoothly for them. But that does not mean that that's been the case for all construction workers universally, as proven by this video. The video in question shows a group of construction workers on the site as a gigantic piece of the building they're working on is being lifted by a crane that's just as big. The crane can be seen lifting the piece slowly but surely, and all looks to be perfectly normal. Out of nowhere, the crane in question begins to tip over and is heading straight for the workers in the area that they're standing in. Thankfully, all the workers notice this immediately and begin to run for their lives.
I'm
The
glad
workers
they
didn't
good,
get injured
but
as a
I
result
ain't
of
gonna
this
lie.
scary accident, but it definitely was way too close of a call.
Boy,
Let's
somebody
just
coulda
hope that
got-
the next
somebody
time these
coulda got
guys
real
clock into
dangerous
work
on
that they
this
don't
one.
have to worry about something like this happening ever again. Raging fire.
Man, it's crazy. Never know what
You
will
may
happen
be
at
under
work.
the impression
boy.
that fires can only be a risk for those who work as firefighters, but this terrifying video shows that even if you're a construction worker, your life could definitely be at risk. The raw video shows an unnamed construction worker being rescued from a fire that suddenly broke out on the construction site of a luxury apartment complex located somewhere in Houston, Texas. Throughout the course of the video, we watch as the worker has no choice but to simply stand there and hope for the best case scenario as the flames get bigger and bigger, and it looks like there's no good outcome on the horizon. Thankfully,
Dang,
though,
boy, so
just
he
when it
was- he
seems
was
that things are
working.
going to go horribly wrong, the worker gets rescued by
So how did
firefighters
fire
who
even
promptly
happen,
arrive
though?
at the scene of the incident and manage to get the worker to safety.
Oh,
This man was very lucky to have been
And
saved.
then
at the
I bet
time
they
because
were
of the
they were working on that zone too, bro. All that zones went to waste. Man, you know.
Firefighters had arrived even just a minute or two later. There's simply no telling what could have happened to him.
A lot, but
Trench
you
fall.
over with, boy.
It was an all hands on deck situation to help two men get out of a trench and on a construction site in Arizona. The Scottsdale Fire Department says a 43-year-old worker fell into the trench and got injured. They say another worker voluntarily jumped into the trench to help him. Fire crews from neighboring cities also showed up to help in the rescue operation, which took 4 hours. Officials said that they had to exercise extra cautions so as not to collapse the trench and cause more injuries.
We were successful at getting a bystander and a patient out of a trench that was 25 to 30 feet deep. It's a 4-hour plus long operation where we had to insert multiple crews and build what we call shoring boxes for safety, and that's what took the extended amount of time.
But thankfully, they eventually succeeded. The two men were shortly treated at a hospital and only suffered a couple of injuries. The story just goes to show how you know that something is genuinely life-threatening could
Dang,
happing to
bro.
you in the blink of an eye, and you
Yeah,
wouldn't
they
even know
must
it.
have slipped. They must have slipped in there, but I know the other guy didn't. But the other guy, dang, but I just started like the other guy that jumped in there with him. Like he a real dude for that, bro. He a real dude.
Robbery attempt.
We got people out here trying to
workers are
rob
probably the
construction
last kinds of
workers.
people you'd expect to swoop in and save the day when it comes to a robbery. However, this amazing piece of surveillance camera footage shows that sometimes heroes don't always wear capes. The video shows a suspicious-looking man wandering around a construction site somewhere in Dallas, Texas. He paces around for a bit before eventually racing to steal a drill located on the site. It doesn't take long at all for the nearby workers to notice the attempted theft, and they hurry to catch up to the man in order to stop him from fleeing the scene. The man gets in his car, but that doesn't stop the workers. One of them even jumps onto the car's hood to ensure that he can't get away. Thankfully, the man was eventually stopped and the drill was safely returned. This video is just amazing proof that sometimes construction workers can save the day in unexpected ways. Glass falls. This incredible video shows a group of construction workers holding onto a massive piece of glass that looks like it's just getting ready to fall. Obviously, since the piece is so incredibly heavy, some of the men have some struggles with holding it upright without it tipping over or onto the ground. But unfortunately, the men start to slowly lose their grip on the glass, and it becomes evidently clear that it's going to wind up on the floor at any moment.
So what are they supposed to
Just moments later, that's exactly what happens. The men can only look on in disappointment, frustration, and shock as the massive piece of glass shatters into countless pieces right before.
It's had somebody catch it from this side, like be further out, and have somebody catch it so it won't fall all the way down. Preferably the strongest one out of the group. You know what I'm saying? So it won't be, you know what I'm saying? It's too much people under it. It gotta be somebody on the, you know what I'm saying, on the other side to catch it. Like gently glide it down, like, you know what I'm saying?
Before their very eyes. It's just a miracle that none of the workers were close to the glass, or else there would definitely have been some injuries involved. Workers trapped. 2 men were trapped for at least 15 excruciating minutes when trusses fell on top of them as they were working at a construction site in Flagler County, as reported in this video, published in September of 2020.
Both males have leg injuries. One male has a hip and head injury.
Crews were installing on the roof when out of nowhere several trusses collapsed on them. The men were eventually rescued, which was also captured on video. You can only imagine the sheer relief the workers must have felt upon realizing that they'd lived to see another day after all. Unfortunately, the men did end up suffering some injuries, but they were ultimately alright in the end.
Got one more to go over here.
Alright, we're about to get you
Man.
Even still, it's hard to imagine fearing for your life for 15 whole minutes straight.
Being a construction
For these
worker,
men,
that's
it must have felt like a lifetime.
It's not too much.
Beam collapse. Just like bowling pins, this amazing video shows the moment in which a massive steel beam falls right on top of another one right next to it, which in turn causes a staggering domino effect, causing others in the area to fall down in the same manner. The incident rattled the entire construction site that ended up injuring 2 construction workers who were on site that day. They didn't have a single clue upon going to work that day that something so shocking could ever happen. Citizens nearby the incident were reportedly running away for their lives, not sure what could have happened and how bad the situation could have gone.
With the construction barriers on the side, you couldn't really see, so at the angle that I finally got at, you could kind of see what was actually happening.
The 2 men were promptly taken to the hospital to be treated for their injuries, which were reportedly very minor, and were luckily released that very same day. The company they worked for says their beam unexpectedly collapsed, but were ultimately unable to explain how or why. Even still, it's more than safe to assume that the workers involved in this incident are just fortunate enough to tell the story today.
Ain't lying, boy. They make construction working like you want. That's the worst job ever. But I ain't gonna lie. After this whole video, man, if you still want to be a construction worker, boy, go ahead, boy. Well, I hope you got like the video, man. It's crazy. If you a construction worker and you watching this video, hopefully you be more like more easily going and don't go so hard, you know. I was trying to find the right words to say. Well, I hope y'all like the video, man. Yeah, bro. I'll see y'all tomorrow.